All right, everybody. Celtics on a 3-game winning streak heading into the Christmas holiday. What a time of the year it is. Celtics beat the Pacers 103-95. We'll talk about that, the 3-game winning streak, the Hugo momentum, and of course, this is our Christmas edition here. So we're going to have a little naughty or nice 2025 edition. Let's get it going. You guys know the deal. This is Green with Envy. Let's lock in. What up, what up, what up? Welcome into a Christmas edition, a holiday edition, whatever it is that you celebrate. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus, go dig that aluminum pole out. Whatever it is that you're celebrating, we're happy that you are joining us here on a Green with Envy Christmas edition post-game pod. It's a mouthful to get out now. As always, this is your boy Will Weir checking in. How you doing? How you living? Joining me, as he does each and every time, my best friend, co-host, and the coach of our podcast, the one and only Greg Manakis. Greg, I feel like you got an early Christmas gift. You asked Santa Carter for there to be some MVP chance for Jaylen Brown. Get some damn respect on that man's name. A 22-point comeback seems to do the trick. We get some MVP chance late in the game here. That's got to have you feeling good tonight.
I really wanted him to make that free throw, and Drew did as well. As he heard, dang, like he knew that if Jaylen had hit that free throw, the MVP chance were going to only continue to grow in their resonance around the TD Garden. But it was great. Drew would have liked to have shouted out the pod, but whatever.
I was listening for it, man. I'm in El Paso with my family. My side of my family just got here as well, so we were kind of everyone's like drinking, eating, like getting the holiday mood is setting in right now. So I'm like kind of locked in, but also like talking to the fam. But I was like, I gotta see right now. I was like, holy shit, that's MVP chance. So I had to like get real close to the TV because the volume's on real low. I was like, I gotta see if we get a little shout out. Didn't happen. Didn't
Scal feed him up too. Scal was like, how'd you know? That was the moment. But I mean, that was the moment for Jaylen Brown, right? We're going to talk about Hugo in his last 3 games, but this was a night for Jaylen Brown in that second half after getting benched along with the rest of the starters, except for Hugo, because Hugo started that second half. And he was the only member of the starters to stay in when Missoula ended up benching them down 20 in the third quarter. But Jaylen, man, when he turns it on, he goes to a whole nother level now. And at the end of the third quarter, when Mathurin blocked him on that fast break, Celtics are down 6 with a chance to go down 4. Jaylen, 3-on-1 fast break, decides to go head-to-head with Mathurin, who blocks him at the rim. Mathurin started talking some shit. And I was like, all right, I like it. I like it because you know what? Jaylen Brown's a better player than Benedict Mathurin 10 days out of the week.
Breaking news.
And and Jaylen was just awesome in the fourth quarter. The rebounds that he was getting, 31 and 9 from Jaylen, and every single rebound he's getting is loud. I always talk about those loud rebounds, and now the numbers are starting to back it up, over about like 6.2 rebounds on the year. You called him out earlier in the year when he was just about 5 rebounds, and since that time he's been averaging over 7. So Jaylen Brown played like an MVP tonight. Hey, you're an inspiration. We're an inspiration. Jaylen Brown is an inspiration.
And Greg, something I really love about JB in this game is there's a couple of different times in this game where you could have thought of, I don't want to call it the old JB, but just a previous version of JB, where he either is forcing it, he gets sped up, he plays into that Benedict Mathurin and plays outside of himself. He's so in control right now this season. It's really putting him on another level, and especially in a game where he didn't come out lights out, right? Like there's some games where you're just like, oh, JB's just on and he knows he has it and he's got it, and like it took a minute to get there. Like this was a rock fight at certain points in this game tonight. Like it was like you mentioned, the whole starting five of the second half got benched. Like this was not a smooth game whatsoever. And down the stretch in that fourth quarter, there was one moment where Jaylen got in the lane, and the patience he showed where obviously I know he tried to slam it home through 5 different states and it, goes off the back iron. But there was a play there where he had kind of the decel step where he stopped, pivoted, and the way that he controlled that moment, it was Luka-esque in my mind, right? The way that Luka just is like, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if we're up 20, we're down 20. Like, I'm going to play my way and I'm going to control my environment. Jalen had a little bit of that tonight. It wasn't the most efficient night, 11 to 25. But again, Jaylen Brown continues to just be incredibly impressive. The MVP chance, as we noted, well-deserved. And this game for the Celtics here, Greg, now on a 3-game win streak, couple of stumbles against Milwaukee, a hard-fought game against Pistons. Really, that Milwaukee game is the one stumble, and that was, throw that out. You're gonna have a Portis and Kuzma night. Insert different random player. That's gonna happen. And so for the Celtics to be back on track, you mentioned this to me before we signed on here. Something's in the air, man. Something's in the air with this team. It's feeling very Brad Stevens and Isaiah Thomas was in the building last game, right? It has a little bit of those type of feel to this team where I don't think we're winning the championship. Obviously, the Jason Tatum thing is a whole different thing that's hanging over the season. But this team is a lot of fun. And I'm past the point of like, I just could see this team in the conference finals and like, fuck it. Let's see what happens.
I totally can see them in the conference finals. I said to you right before we signed on, they're feeling special. And the one guy that is like kind of the poster boy for how special this team feels is Hugo. And we talked about early in the season when Hugo got that start that he was going to be a starter for the rest of the year. Pencil him in as the starter when Jason Tatum comes back. Peyton Pritchard moved back to your 6-man role, and he's just playing the type of basketball that is going to endear him to Boston for the next 15 years. 19 years old, already plays like a grown man, has the IQ that all Celtics fans dating back to the 80s Celtics and everything that everyone talks about, the beautiful game of basketball they played. Like Hugo embodies all that stuff. He's diving on the floor. He's getting big rebounds. He's fucking up from time to time, but it's okay because when he's messing up, he's messing up.
And the thing is, no one realizes it quicker than Hugo than when he's fucked up. And it's honestly becoming one of my little favorite things is when Hugo fucks up, the reactions. Like I mentioned before, sometimes he'll punch himself in the head. I mentioned the JB slam that he had. And then the clock reset because JB slammed off the back iron and Hugo went to go save it as it almost turned into like a layup for the Pacers. And you could see the relief on his face because he messed up. And I think the part of it that's so great that makes it so endearing is you always, to your point, you always want a player to care that much about every little thing, right? Like, and it's not realistic for every player to care as much as you do sitting there with a bowl of chips on your couch and you go nuts over every little thing. Like, it's just not realistic for a guy that's in it day to day, actually playing 82 games, playing 7-8 months a year, whatever it is, training for it all the other time. But when you see it, it becomes so incredibly endearing that it's very easy to see why the momentum that Hugo has with not just these momentum plays, but he's putting up numbers in different ways. 6 points tonight, 11 rebounds. Last 3 games, 11 rebounds, 10 rebounds, 8 rebounds, had a double-double in Toronto, has had 3 stocks in every single one of those games. Like, he's hitting every benchmark of this is, Jaylen Brown just passed Tommy Heinsohn. This is a Tommy Award guy. That's what Hugo Gonzalez is for this team.
Dude, he's so good. He's so good. Everything that he does on the court is additive. And if he ever can hit that corner 3 at like a 40% level, man.
He had one late in the game where I was like, oh, the crowd is about to pop if he hits that. And he missed it. But it's like and he's 19 years old. He's, just coming over from Spain. Like, I think that will come. This is, what I thought about the other night with him, actually, Greg, is when we didn't know much about Derek White, when the Celtics made that trade back in 2022, you and I were like kind of watching some YouTube videos because living in Austin, the Spurs get blacked out and they weren't very good. So we weren't locked into a lot of Spurs games. But Derek White came in and the big thing was like, yeah, is he going to be that good of a shooter? It's like a 34% shooter. And if you remember that first game Derek White came on, I think he hit his first 3 threes or like 3 out of 4. And I remember you and I came on podcast like later that day and we were like, I thought it would be a good shooter. But that shot doesn't look bad. The shot's
Right.
there. It looks good. I kind of feel the same way about Hugo, where I'm like, it's not like it doesn't look like Josh Minot, who is shooting the ball well this season. Like that shot looks grotesque. And if he's missing, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. With
Mhm.
Hugo, it's like I see the bones of it. I don't think that this is going to be an unreasonable expectation that with the time, the training, everything that can be put into it, that he can become a serviceable, be a guy that's knocking down those shots late and have that happen honestly relatively quickly. Maybe not this year, but in the next couple of years. Like there's no reason why he doesn't turn into that guy from what I can see.
And he clearly has like a crazy work ethic, right? The ability to go from really not playing at all to playing 37 minutes tonight and never looking tired. Like he has those 19-year-old legs, but even those
Yeah.
young guys, sometimes their cardio can't hold up in like a 48-minute NBA game where you can only see them go for like those quick little spurts. But 37 minutes out of him, man. And I was actually interested because I was like, you know what? I don't know how many points Hugo scored tonight. And when you called it out that he only had 6, I was like, that's why Hugo's great, is because
Yeah.
you could have told me he had 15 or 6, and I would have been like, I don't fucking care. Like Hugo's awesome.
He's
Everything
got
that he does on the
26
court's
points.
amazing.
This is Ugo's moment right now. These last 3 games, he's got 26 points total. Like when you think of it being a moment, almost always it comes to points, right? Like you think of, man, he must have blown up for 30 tonight, and all of a sudden you're like, this guy's on another level. It's like, no, he's got 30 something rebounds in the last 3 games. He's got 9 stocks. He's got everything else that you want to have happen is what Ugo's doing. And he's changing games. I think that's probably the biggest thing I take away from these
Joe can't
last
take
3
him off the
games.
court, man.
Which is funny because like to a degree we felt like that even before when we like wasn't playing. We were like, Joe, like I get it. Like Minot's been good. Jordan Walsh has been great. Like find some time for Hugo, because every time he plays, it feels like he changes the game. He impacts it in some meaningful way that's not always going to be, in the box score. But if you have 2 eyes and you're watching the game, you're going to leave going, I don't know, but that number 28, it was something different about him.
Yeah, he's great, man. Another guy that I think deserves a shout out is Luka Garza, who was banished to the land of the small ball bench. And over the last couple of games, 9 offensive rebounds. In the previous game, he had another 5 tonight, 9 total
14 the
rebounds,
last 2 combined.
24 minutes. Another guy that the moment he got his chance again, he was like, you're not taking me off this fucking court. He was like, you had me on the bench for 3 weeks, which I was okay with because I thought that, there's moments for Luka Garza, and I think there are certain teams that he can't play against. But in games where we're playing average teams, like Luka Garza can impact the game just with his hustle, just
and
with
being
his
down
energy.
a wing, right? That's the other big part of this, right?
Yes,
Being down someone in that wing rotation. So Joe doesn't quite have the bodies to be able to play just one big. But to your point, Luka needs credit because he stepped up in both of these games to be able to contribute in meaningful ways. And there's, he had 5 offensive rebounds tonight, had 9 in the game against
and
Toronto.
he had like 3 more possessions where he got fouled going after offensive.
Right. That was what I was going to bring up. Is there's other possessions that he extended where he's not getting the tick on the box score of here's an offensive rebound, but he either got fouled or he kept it alive and someone else gets that stat, right? Like he's extremely feisty. No one runs harder back on defense than Luka Garza or exerts more energy.
Dude, there's this one moment. There's this one moment in the first half where Luka Garza and Josh Minot were running like side by side, getting back on defense. And the effort that each one of them was expending to run the same speed was absolutely hilarious. I don't know if you caught that moment, but Josh Minot was just like gliding up the court, running probably 75%, and Luka Garza is just like fucking full speed booking it.
What do you think?
And obviously Josh surpassed him pretty quickly.
Do you think so? If let's just say hypothetically, it takes Josh Minot like 8 leaps to get up the court. What does it take Luka? Like 16?
Yeah. I mean, he does have long strides, but he's not really fair. Like covering.
But they don't go very far. It's a little bit.
Yeah.
Remember how I used to run a lot, or how I probably still do run, where it's like it's good form, but it's just like really like the strides aren't long enough. He's got long strides, but they're not. I don't know. They're not
He's
extended long
well,
enough.
he doesn't like bounce off of the strides.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
strides are long, but he's not actually like moving
yeah.
much farther with any momentum.
They sink into
He's
cement, and then he's got to propel himself out of it. But
exactly, but he deserves all the credit in the world, man. I was gonna be totally fine if he never saw another minute this year, unless like Nimi was hurt. But
Mhm.
he proved that he belongs on the court in certain matchups. And I think these last two games where we're not going up against any like world beating big, like yeah, throw Luka Garza out there on the court, man. Let him do his thing.
Yeah, shout out to Luka Garza, man. He definitely deserves it. And so, Greg, in this 3-game winning streak, obviously Ugo's having a moment. Luka's been great the last 2 games. It really feels like I don't want to get back into just before we go to we're going to do a little bit of a holiday edition here on the podcast. We're going to do a naughty and a nice list here in just a few. But before we do that, I want to just dig in a little bit more and like what do you feel special about this? Like what is it that's like sticking out to you when you watch these games? Because tonight, I mentioned I was watching it with some family, and Celtics got, Pacers didn't miss a 3-point shot. It felt like in the first quarter, and it was like, maybe it's just one of those nights. But at the same time, I also kind of felt like we're gonna come back and win this game. Like I don't believe the Pacers are putting us away. Like,
Mhm.
and that's a belief that I did not think that I was gonna have about this team this year. And now it kind of feels like, every game, it's like, why would I not have that feeling? So let's just dig in just for a minute here. What is it about this team that's jumping out to you as feeling special, like we talked about?
I think you called it out saying it reminds us of the Brad Stevens era where you had a bunch of guys playing with chips on their shoulder that overachieved in a system that worked for them and under a coach who believed in them. And I think this goes back to Missoula and what Drew was talking about on the last pod, where he just it's his first chance to really imprint who he is and the DNA within him on a group of guys because he inherited the last team. This is the first team where he has a bunch of young guys that he can really coach up and give them the opportunity to like be extensions of his philosophies out there on the court. Because there's, previous years, you're not really doing that with a Kristaps Porzingis. You're not changing the way Drew Holiday plays. He's a consummate professional. He's going to play the way that he plays. Same thing with Al Horford, Jason Tatum, like superstar of all superstars. And now you have a bunch of guys that are trying to prove themselves, just like Joe Mazzulla's out here trying to prove himself. And I think a lot of it has to do with like the egoless nature of this team. And I think case in point, look at that third quarter when the Celtics are down 20 points and Missoula just yanks the starters. He's like, Jaylen Brown, sit on the bench. Derek White, I don't care, sit on the bench. Peyton Pritchard, Kata, sit on the bench. And every single one of those dudes, I don't know if you were able to like be super locked into that comeback, but anytime they cut to the bench, those dudes weren't over there sulking. They were there cheering on their teammates. Jaylen Brown's up there like rah of all the rah guys. And
Mm-hmm.
those are the moments that I think make a team like this feel special, where you can bring in a Baylor Shireman. And now when Baylor Shireman gets on the court, I'm like, I'm happy Baylor's on the court. I was
Yeah.
kind of sad he came off the court because he's just additive in everything that he does. Anthony Simons having a couple moments there on offense, hitting a couple big shots where you're like, oh, okay, Simons, like I see you. Luka Garza doing his thing. Sam Hauser, maybe it was like the one guy tonight where I was like, I don't think I need much more of Sam out there on the court. But I was just like so happy to see the way that those guys responded. And then when they came off the court and the starters came back on the court, they were clearly inspired by what the bench did. Where in previous years, when you took out the starters and you put in the bench unit, it was like, oh, we got a 30-point lead and now the bench is going to blow it.
Yeah, I think buy-in, right? The overall buy-in to this is what it's coming down to. And I got to say, for Anthony Simons, I was thinking about this even before the game. I'm still underwhelmed by Anthony Simons, is what it is, but he's been a plus minus darling these last like couple of games. Like there's, say what you will about plus minus. It's not always the best stat to look at, but consistently enough, if you're constantly a plus, like that's enough of a sample size. It becomes more of a trend, right? And so, only a +4 tonight. But again, I think, and this again goes to Joe here, I think he's playing with better lineups. I think you're getting more out of Anthony Simons, even if it's in, not huge minute samples. Like what he played tonight. He played just over 17 minutes tonight. But I think the usage of Simons has gotten a lot better by Joe. And so nights when it makes sense, he's playing 25, 30 minutes. Some nights he's playing 17. And the moments that he's in the game, like Joe's doing his thing, man. I'm going to talk about Joe when we get to our nice and naughty list here, but there's no doubt about it. Joe is absolutely having a moment, and I think we're too early to maybe do coach of the year type stuff. And if the Thunder win 80 games, which is not going to win 80 games now, but they win 75 games, like Mark Dagnall's probably going to win coach of the year. But Joe Mazzulla's got to get a lot of love, I think, when it comes to that conversation if this continues, because this is pretty special what I think he's doing. And like I said, I'll talk more about it when we get to nice and naughty. But yeah, it's very impressive. And again, the roster: Shireman, Mazzulla was here for that pick. Gonzalez, he was here for that pick. Walsh, he was here for that. But these are guys now that you're starting to see that Joe Mazzulla identity.
Have you ever actually said the words naughty or nice before? Because you keep messing up the order of it. It's like naughty or nice. That's the gimmick, Will. Naughty or nice.
I'll be honest, as I'm saying it, I don't
keep saying the nice and naughty list.
It's funny.
Connotation.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're totally right. Because as I was saying it, I was like, this doesn't feel like me. It doesn't feel right. So it's okay. So the correct way for the holiday theme is the naughty or nice list.
Naughty or nice, yeah.
Not
so like
nice
in my mind, the whole thing was like, are they naughty or
nice
or
or naughty's
nice?
a little kinky?
Yeah. Nice and naughty's kinky.
Okay. Well,
hey, you
we'll
got the
save
Santa
that for a
hat on
different
though.
time.
Who knows?
Hey, I'm going for it, man. We're going for it here. Nice and naughty or nice and naughty. I hear it now. It's naughty or nice. All right. So on that note, let's jump in to naughty or nice, our 2025 Christmas gimmick here on Green with Envy. So for the audience at home, and for those of you tuned into us here on YouTube and or Twitter, what we did was we picked 3 different. I mean, honestly, people could be items. I don't really know where we went with this. We kind of left it open-ended here, but we've got 3 naughty, 3 nice. Greg, how do you want to do this? You want to go nice and then naughty? Do you want to go back and forth, or what's the best way? How do you want to lay this out? We probably should have discussed this before, but this is what we do. We do it on air.
That's not how we do it, man. That's not how we do it. Okay, I'll go first. So this is on my nice list, and it's more of an overall topic and trend that I'm going to bring back to the Celtics here in a second. Turning injury-prone players into 6th men. The Spurs are currently doing it with Wemby coming off the bench. The Pelicans are currently doing it with Zion Williamson coming off the bench. Both organizations and the players are on the nice list because with these stars as massive and as talented as Zion and Wemby are, you would expect that guys like that wouldn't be okay coming off the bench, right? It's not easy to humble yourself, come off the bench, but if it means you get more consistent time and you're going to be there for closer to 80, 82 games, 65 games, if that's the limit you need to reach, like I'm all for that. And when you think about the Boston Celtics, who have a mega star sitting there on the bench, who's going to come back to a team that is forming an identity and is developing this chemistry, what is the best way to bring Jason Tatum back? And I'm saying it right now, I think the Celtics should at least consider bringing Jason Tatum off the bench as the 6th man whenever he is healthy, because there is precedent now. Mm-hmm. Jason Tatum, if he was the first one to do it, I don't think he's that type of guy. I think he's the type of guy that's going to be like, nah, I'm always a starter. I will always be a starter.
I'm first team all NBA, bro.
I'm top 5. Don't put me back on Team USA. I'm good. Like I'm going to be the starter of this team.
Yeah.
Right.
I've seen this script before. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah. But when you see Wemby do it and you see Zion do it, obviously Jason Tatum's a better player than Zion, but Wemby is this fucking freak of nature alien.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the type of sacrifice. When you think about the sacrifice that the guys on the team are making this year, if Jason Tatum came back and said, you know what, I'm going to come off the bench because you guys are already rolling right now and I don't want to mess up the chemistry. But I also think it's just smart to bring him off the bench because you don't want to run him out there and put too much pressure on him. The only downside, I think, would be like if Jason Tatum just kind of needs to be in his routine and be warm going into the games versus having to like adjust to his body coming off the bench, never having really done it before.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. And, you know, I've seen a couple of the Spurs games, obviously in the NBA Cup with Wemby coming off, and then their first couple of games since the NBA Cup, he's done the same thing. I haven't seen how the Pelicans have utilized Zion coming off the bench, so I'm going to focus my comparison to what the Spurs have done. And what I think they've done is really interesting because, when you think of usually guys come back, it's like, oh, he's on like a 20-minute time limit, right? And so usually it's like, there's 6 minutes left in the fourth. It's a close game. Are they going to stretch him? What are they going to do? And it gets into this like really precarious position. And the way the Spurs did it, I thought was awesome, right? Where it was like Wemby was, I think, in the first game against Oklahoma City, he didn't even play the first quarter. I don't know if the Celtics would do that, but maybe Tatum plays 3 minutes in the first quarter, plays 5 minutes in the second quarter, plays 8, plays 10, whatever it is that it gets up to that time limit. And then it keeps him fresh and available, to your point, and keeps him ready for the part of the game that as he's ramping up, even a ramping up Jason Tatum, let's be real. We just praised this entire roster. A ramping up Jason Tatum will be out on the court, or should be out on the court, right? Like, there's no doubt about that. So I think from that perspective, using the Wemby example is really interesting. And like, obviously Wemby's younger than Tatum, but he's certainly been in the same position as Tatum where they've been A1 since day one, right? Like, they've been the guy the entire time. Neither of Wemby, I bet you, has never come off the bench in his entire life until the other night against Oklahoma City. Like, maybe in a national game, same as Jason Tatum, maybe at some point. But other than that, those guys don't come off the bench. So I think the Wemby example is the one to look at where there is a lot of value in that. And I really like that idea, especially where this team's starting five, when you look at their net ratings, has been great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's been without a doubt the best lineup. So now if you're just, first off the bench with Tatum over Josh Minott, shout out to Josh Minott having a great year. Pretty good upgrade.
And you surround Jason Tatum with like the shooting lineup when you have Anthony Simons flanking him. If Simons makes it to the end of the year on this team, which I'm on record saying I want to see him play next to Jason Tatum. If you're coming off the bench with Jason Tatum and Anthony Simons as like the head of your bench unit, like that'd be pretty interesting for the stretch run. Some other guys though. Go ahead.
Real quick. And you think about the Tatum stats from years past, right? Where it was like him and the bench units used to have these incredible net ratings. It was him and Pritchard and Cornette and whoever else it might be. So you're just applying that, but you're doing it as part of the rehab. And so again, I think it kind of fits to Jason Tatum and what he would need as part of that ramp up.
For sure. Other guys around the league I also want to see as six men. LeBron James. LeBron, it's time, man. Go to the bench. Go to the bench. Let the other guys cook. You come off the bench. You don't have to like worry, is LeBron going to be in the lineup or not? Like, just bring him off the bench.
How much of LeBron have you watched this year?
I tune into the Lakers from time to time. I'm interested by them.
It's watching him is so fascinating because there's times where he just literally removes himself from plays. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's doing, the way that Jaylen Brown tried to dunk it, through the entire TD Garden. All of a sudden, LeBron will pull off something like that. It's like, dude, I thought you were pulling a Rasheed Wallace. Like, I texted you, I think, a couple weeks ago, where I was like, he's literally doing the Sheed, where, from the Celtics in 2012, just going 3-point line to 3-point line and like not going above 70% basically. But then he just turns it on all of a sudden. And so the idea of him as a six man, especially with kind of the odd defensive fit with Luka and Reeves, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if he would, that feels like that's unlikely to happen, but I think it's the right idea.
The most obvious of all answers, Joel Embiid. Like, they cannot rely on Joel Embiid to start a game, right? At all. So like, bring him off the bench because it's Maxi's team at this point. It's Edgecombe's team at this point. And typically when you think about a second unit coming in, that's like the energy unit. It would be the complete opposite. You bring in Joel Embiid to slow the game down. Maxi's back on the bench. Other guys real quick, because I want to keep this moving. Trae Young, I think it might be interesting for Trae Young to come off the bench with the Hawks. Hawks are 15-15 right now, not living up to those preseason expectations. And then Kawhi Leonard, who's like the poster boy for injuries with the Clippers. The Clippers, they might as well try it because nothing else is going well for them.
All right, let me go to one on my nice list. And it's something we've already kind of talked on here, but we bring it up all the time. So on my nice list, I've got the Celtic young wings. And we talked about Hugo earlier. And so, Greg, it's that time again. Let's power rank them. We've got Hugo. We've got Walsh, we've got Minott, we've got Shireman, and these rankings are different every single time that I bring this up. So right now, as of today, give me your power rankings with those four.
Hugo, Walsh, Shireman, Minott. You?
I agree with the first two. I can't knock Walsh below third. He was, played half the game against Toronto because he was sick. Was out tonight with an illness. He's still been really, really solid. Even in the games where he's not blowing you away, he's been very, very solid. Ugo's having his moment, so he jumps up to the top of the power rankings. I think Minot and Shireman's an interesting one. I could see it really going either way. I'll go Minot, Shireman. I'm not opposed to it. Minot got the start tonight. They've both kind of had some impactful moments. They've been a little bit more fleeting than the other two, which is why they're third and fourth right now. But it's again, we've done this, a couple times jokingly. They've been different people every time. Like this order continues to. Shireman seems to be the one guy that's always kind of third or fourth. I don't think he's ever been in the pole position or second. But out of the other three guys, all three of them have been first or second anytime that we've done this. And so this was a joke, but I actually do think this is going to be a recurring thing that we talk about every 2 to 3 weeks because it's going to keep changing. And shout out to Hugo Gonzalez. Right now, he's at the top of that pole position, but all of these guys, I think, are making contributions. You even mentioned tonight, I want to see Baylor. He's going to give me something additive. He's going to make, dude, he had that. Did you see that hezzy he had earlier today? I don't know if it was a carry, but
he the replay on that. I don't know if he actually did that legally, but I think what it is like, I keep thinking like, okay, if the Celtics end up needing to make a trade this year, who would I be most devastated to trade? And like Ugo by far is number one, right? And then I think Walsh is two, Shireman and Minot, because I think you can find another Josh Minot out there.
Yeah, you could throw Shireman and Minot in the deal to make it happen. I think Walsh and Ugo are the two that I've watched, and I'm like, all right, if Walsh is going to D up Tyrese Maxey and Jaren Jackson Jr., and I'm going to feel great about it, there's something there. And then Ugo, like we talked about, it just feels impactful every time he's out there. Minot, you can find the super athletic guy. I still am very suspect the shooting is all that real just because of the shot. And Shireman, he's an older second-year player who, he's definitely
he's really impressing me with his defense. That charge that he took tonight, the little strip he had on Mathurin when he got beat baseline, like he's always in the right place, moves his feet really well, understands where the help is, and he has a headiness about him. It's like when we saw Pritchard early on in his career, like his rookie year, where he would just come in the game and do some cool shit, and you'd be like, "Oh man, I really like this Pritchard kid." Shireman's got a lot of that DNA as well.
All right, let's just go nice. And since I kept messing it up, we were doing nice and naughty versus naughty or nice. We're gonna do it that way anyway. So we did nice. Now I'm gonna go to the naughty list here, and it's actually a team that you mentioned already. You talked about Kawhi Leonard. I got the Clippers on my naughty list. Like, be fucking better, guys. The Thunder have your pick. Like, this is just can't happen. Like, the Thunder are already too good at drafting, evaluating, and finding players. Greg, I saw this the other day. It kind of blew my mind for the level of a team, a championship team. They're 25-3 or whatever their record is right now. They've got one top 10 pick on their entire roster. Dang. That's pretty crazy for a team of that level of legacy. It's that one Chet pick. Everything else is in late first round. It's undrafted.
J-Dub wasn't a top 10?
No, he was like 12.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's the same draft. I mean, it's not far off. Like, I think Shea was also 11 or 12. So, like, they got a couple guys that are not far off from that. But, like, you think about these last couple of Celtics teams, you have the Jays, who are both the third pick. You had, Drew Holiday, I think, was just outside the top 10. KP was a top 10 pick. Al Horford was a top 10 pick. Marcus Smart, when, Celtics were going to the finals, he was a top 10 pick. Like, usually there's, like, 3 to 4, even if they're not your best guys, it's like, man, this guy really turned into an unbelievable plus defender. And it's like Caruso and Dort, guys that were undrafted second-round picks. It's the Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, the list goes on and on. And now for a team that does pretty damn well at finding talent in the teens and the second round, you're just like, Clippers just putting it on a silver platter. They're on my naughty list. Just be better, guys. Like, and it doesn't seem like they have a path really towards doing that, other than maybe Kawhi going to be the sixth man. So they're on my naughty list for just, potentially ruining basketball.
And then their one trade asset, Zubac, just went down with a grade 2 ankle sprain. Yep. So we'll see how long they hold him out for. Okay, I guess my first naughty list, I'm gonna go back to something we were talking about earlier. And Celtics fans that are still not buying in on Jaylen Brown being the man this year.
MVP.
Like
MVP.
I was so happy to hear the MVP chants tonight. but there's still like, you just go check the YouTube comments and like check things like that. You just like type in Jaylen Brown's name. There's still people that are like ragging on him. And Jaylen Brown is playing like an MVP, regardless of how you felt coming into this season about Jaylen Brown. Your two eyes are not lying to you. Jaylen Brown is playing like a top 5 MVP candidate in the NBA this year. It just so happens there are a lot of other guys in the NBA that are playing like top 5 MVP candidates. So you can like
Mhm.
make the argument that Jaylen Brown is still like more towards 10 than he is towards 5. But I'm not making that argument. I think Jaylen Brown, watching him night to night, like with all the injuries that are out there around the league, if you're saying the 65 game limit, it's no question Jaylen Brown's top 5. Even without the 65 game limit, Jaylen Brown's in that conversation because the Boston Celtics, my friend, are a top seed in the Eastern
Mhm.
Conference. They have home court advantage if the playoffs were to start today. And Jaylen Brown is the reason. He is the sole reason that the Boston Celtics are the team that they are this year. Everybody is buying into what Jaylen Brown is selling on that team. And he's leading by example. Every single person responds to him. And now, if you're not responding to him, if you're not going to be part of the chorus of chants serenading him with MVP chants from this game forward, then I don't know what to say to you, man. We just see the game differently.
Yeah, it's hard. I can't like it's one of those things where I think at times people have been too hard on JB, and I think definitely at times there's been people. Not saying this has always been you, but you've always been a very adamant JB defender. And there's times where I'm like, okay, you guys can criticize him a little bit. I don't know how you criticize him right now. He's unbelievable this season. I am blown away, and I do think that there is in certain pockets, there's definitely a shifting narrative or an awakening to just how good his season is. I think it's Tim McMahon does the straw poll for the MVP. And Jaylen Brown, came in, I think what would have been either 7th or 8th, if I believe I have it right off the top of my head here. Basically, it was who you would think at the top. I mean, this is also a good read into like the All NBA, like you mentioned, right? Like if you look at that first team All NBA, and I think there's 3 spots that are cemented, right? Jokic, SGA, and Luka. As long as they hit 65 and those guys are trending towards it, those are 3 All NBA, first team All NBA. And then you've got this really interesting battle for the last 2 first All NBA team spots. Likely Giannis not going to play enough. Wemby, borderline. I would guess he probably falls out of this after already missing, I think 12 games, technically 11 because he gets an extra game with the cup game, but it's still going to be tough to hit that, but maybe. But so throw Wemby in that mix. You throw Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, and Jalen Brown. Like that's kind of your group. Throw Ant Edwards in there too.
Oh, and
Like that's
definitely. Yeah.
that's yeah, that's the group of 6 that's going for those last 2 spots. And it's not crazy to say that Jaylen Brown is maybe leading that, or he's at least near the top of that. Like all those guys are having great years. And the thing is, we thought for Jaylen Brown, it would be he needs to have a great year. The team success will probably hold him back a little bit. He's elevating this team to having a far more successful season than we ever anticipated. So, if anything, that should be boosting him in these rankings. And so I was happy to see that his name was very much in the mix for those 4 or 5 spots. But he's right there, and just Jaylen Brown, just unbelievably special season. I don't know what else to say about him.
Okay, I'm going to go to my second nice, and this is going to be Anthony Edwards, the guy you just mentioned. Seeing him outplay SGA down the stretch of the game the other night when he blocked
Yeah,
him at the rim and then stripped
that
him
was a
on the
big moment.
perimeter, and he hit that step back three over Kason Wallace. Ant's
Dirty
such
shot.
a fun personality, and it just makes me so happy when like guys step up to SGA because SGA is really special and he's awesome. He's the second best player in the world right now.
Mhm.
But he's not Michael Jordan, right? He's not that
He's not
good.
unapproachable. He's not unassailable.
Exactly. And like too many guys that I think are just as talented as him seem to like wither under the pressure of SGA. And I don't know what it is about him. If it's the like chill, I'm not gonna talk shit to you. I'm just like this cool cat walking down the court, like it's kind of slithering around the court like a snake. I don't know how many more animals I can compare him to, but like everything that he does, I'm just like, bro, somebody body this skinny motherfucker and just like put him on his ass. And to see Ant Edwards push him and pushed him in the fast break situation where SGA
Yeah.
was like on the court looking at him like, come on, man. And then Ant was just like snarling at him, like, I'm him, like, I got this, I'm on that, like all the shit he was talking to SGA. It's like, that's what I'm fucking talking about, Ant. Like, more people need to step up to this motherfucker.
Yeah, Ant definitely, believes he's that dude, and he very well likely is. Like he's that type of guy that just has that type of persona, and that felt like a signature moment, right? Like, so when I was listing off those guys, like, I got to add Ant in here because that felt like a true signature moment. The shot, the stop, everything else that goes, between him and SGA throughout the game. Like those are the moments where you're just like, why would I look around and look up to anybody else but me? Like what?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm that guy. I'm that dude. I'm him. I'm gonna be the fucking guy. And so for Ant Edwards, like you said, the personality, it's hard not to like Ant. Like I feel like I get worried Ant's personality is gonna slip up one of these times, and it's.
I mean, he already has slipped up multiple.
He already. Well, this is the thing. I worry about it. I feel like he has. If he were somebody else, this is a little like Draymond gets an extra like leash with the referees because it's just who he's always been. Whereas another guy does that, they're teed up, they're thrown out, they're suspended. Like Draymond gets away with so much shit. Ant's just always been, incorrectly authentic at times. And I think people are just like, that's just him, because then he drops bars like naming Timothy Chalamet White Boy of the Year and asking about Leon Nelson, and he's talking about Liam Neeson, which is one of the greatest clips to ever exist. Like it's in the Tracy Morgan Hall of Fame for mix-ups. It's just unbelievable. So I think for Ant, I just agree with this pick. I got nothing else. Ant's awesome. I think that's
cool. What you got next?
Great place to go. Next up, I got here. I'm going to keep it Celtics centric, and this kind of goes to more like on Friday night. I saw a lot of this going around. Just on my nice list, I got Celtics owner Bill Chisholm. Like shout out to him. He seems like he gives a fuck. He seems off. Like I heard a little bit of him on the White Noise podcast, just a few clips, and like just seems like a cool dude. Just seems like a very down to earth dude. And so far, we haven't got that new owner syndrome that typically you see, like all the moves in the offseason that was happening, whether or not this team was sold, like especially when they lost in the second round, Tatum gets hurt, all that shit was happening. So that's not like, hey, new guy came in, let's cut the shit. And you heard Brad Stevens, which is clearly going to be, in coordination with Bill Chisholm, talking earlier this week, like if there's an opportunity to spend and we think it makes sense, we'll spend. Like we're under the second apron. We can still spend if we need to and if we think it makes sense. And so I just enjoy seeing an owner that doesn't feel like he's overbearing so far. This is all so far. It's been less than a year with this guy, but doesn't feel overbearing and feels like he just enjoys him and his family going to the Garden. I think Steve Carell was sitting with them the other night. Like he just seems to really enjoy this experience, and kind of like how we talked about Hugo earlier. And when you're sitting at home and you're like, man, I love that this guy gives a fuck every moment. That's kind of how I feel. Like if I had billions of dollars and I could go buy my favorite team, like I would do what he's doing and just be like, yeah, dude, I want to sit courtside every night and cheer my ass off and bring my family and hang out with all cool people. That sounds freaking awesome. Like, so far, I'm enjoying the Chisholm experience.
Here's what I have written down. Bill Chisholm, you're on the nice list for bringing back Isaiah Thomas, sitting next to him courtside and being an awesome owner thus far. You seem like you're really enjoying it, and you're bringing a really fun energy to the game. That's what I wrote. Basically the exact same thing. Okay. Last thing, because I know you're with family right now. We should wrap this up anyway. Let's go to the naughty list. On my naughty list, and this is actually something I really enjoyed. I don't know if you caught this, Will, but Anthony Joshua. You're on my naughty list for what you did to Jake Paul's jaw. And it was so glorious. Fractured it in two places to the point where Jake Paul might never fight again, which, I kind of like seeing him get punched in the face. So I don't know if I'd like that.
I was going to say, I feel like this deserves a round of applause. I don't know why this is on the naughty list.
Well, he's on the naughty list because it was just like so bad, like what he did. He literally a former Olympic champion, heavyweight champion of the world was like, yeah, I'll take $50 million to punch this poser in the face. Are you kidding me? Oh yeah. They each got like 50 million.
50 mil for this?
Yes, dude. That's why he took it. It was supposed to be against Tank Davis. And shout out to Jake Paul, honestly, because Tank Davis is like 135 pounds. He pulled out of the fight, and then Jake Paul was like, I'll fight Francis Ngannou, who's the UFC former heavyweight champion of the world, who almost beat Tyson Fury. And Francis Ngannou was like, nah. And then Anthony Joshua was like, wait, how much are you paying? Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Like,
How
I'll
how
take
many was
that
that? 50. You're saying this correctly, right?
50
Okay,
million?
cool.
Okay, yeah, yeah. And then like all these people were convincing themselves that Jake Paul actually had a chance. And he just ran away from Anthony Joshua the whole fight, which is like such a awesome real thing because like Jake Paul has been fighting like retired fighters for the past decade, and he just ran away from Anthony Joshua, which is exactly what I would have done if I was in the ring with Anthony Joshua. I'd have been like, I don't belong in here. I'm just gonna run away.
You know what it felt like? And I didn't watch the fight live, but me and my brother-in-law have been watching some of the clips because we I think we must have been together during one of the other Jake Paul fights, and so we were like talking about how like interesting, but also like shitty the whole Jake Paul experience is at the same time. And it really kind of felt like one of those like you're sitting around a bar and like, yo, how much would it take for you to last one round with like prime Mike Tyson? And
Exactly.
like, what would you do? And it's like I would just try to get like like grab him by the ankles, like or something the entire time. Like I just would try to either run around the ring and like not let him catch me, or I would curl up in a ball. Like that's essentially what it looked like. And I've watched that video where it's like I think it's 13 times that he like just goes down to his knees and just hugs Anthony Joshua. Like it's extremely pathetic looking,
But
even
dude,
though it is in a vacuum brave to step in the ring with Anthony Joshua.
he took a full force straight right to the jaw and didn't cry. If Anthony Joshua hit me that hard, I would have sat there sobbing like a little girl.
James would be
And
fatherless.
he would be. And Jake Paul didn't get knocked out. Like that's really impressive, man. He's got a chin on him. Well, I mean, now he's got a broken
He
jaw,
used to
but
have a chin. Yeah.
yeah, that's like really impressive. As much as I haven't enjoyed like Jake Paul, the character, I got to give him
Mhm.
respect for stepping in there with Anthony Joshua after supposed to fight Tank Davis. It's just such a difference. He did it. He still put on the show. The show must go on. But Anthony Joshua, you're on the naughty list for what you did to Jake Paul's jaw.
And so Jake got 50 mil for it too. They split 100 mil. Is that what it
Yeah,
was?
I
Or
think it was something like 46. I think it was over like 46.
semantics? I'll
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
46. God damn, dude. Yeah. All right. That is what it is. I can't believe those two guys got 100 mil for that sham. Anyways, okay, I'll go to my last one that I have here on the naughty list. I'm actually going to call myself out, put myself on the naughty list here, Greg,
Okay. All right.
because I'm going to give you something that I don't think I've vocalized it, but I'm going to let people in here to, you know, what I've been waiting for happening, and I'm done waiting for it to happen because I don't think it's going to happen. I thought this was going to be, and I probably hinted at this in ways without saying it directly. I was prepared for this to be an epic failure of a Joe Mazzulla season.
Mm.
Completely prepared for Joe Mazzulla to have this level of a roster, these types of players, and somehow the Celtics are third in net rating offensively. They are passing all levels of expectation. And listen, I'm still striving to understand Joe Mazzulla. And I think scholars for years, in years and years beyond this will try to study Joe Mazzulla, and no one will fully understand this man. The man's trying to buy a wolf for the house. That was a hilarious. Trying to convince his wife. He's like, yeah, we have dogs, but like, you fucking wolf, dude. And I love his
Yep, our guy
explanation
Ice.
was like, yeah, but his explanation was a wolf just to roam the perimeter. Like he's like, I don't want to like take care of it, or just roam the perimeter. We'll find food. This was the whole point. But and I don't understand a lot. I don't understand always Joe Mazzulla's moves. Like you mentioned tonight, I think the benching of in the third quarter, perfect Joe Mazzulla move that he feels empowered to be able to do that. And these are moves that you just don't see a lot of coaches make successfully, right? And he's doing a lot of different lineups, going no bigs, going, with lineups that sometimes he went with a double big the other night out of nowhere. We haven't seen a double big in months. And all of a
For like
sudden we just
one
have a double
possession,
big
it was
out there.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But to his credit, he changed it right away, saw the error and changed his ways. I asked for Anthony Simons, who I've been really struggling with, like how he's using him. He's using him with a lot better lineups over the last couple of weeks, and now he's a plus minus darling. Even if not much has changed about Anthony Simons' game, Joe Mazzulla has changed the way he's utilized him. And so, even if I'm still trying to understand every little Joe Mazzulla moment, there's no doubt about it. It's just working, man. It's just working. And so, shame on me for just waiting. I've been waiting all season for Joe Mazzulla to fail. Not that I wanted it. I just was, that's what I thought was going to happen. And it's
Hmm.
just not happening. So I've been naughty. Shame on me for 2025, 2026. Joe Mazzulla. let's rock, my guy.
I love it. I love the self-awareness. I'm trying to think if there's anything I've been naughty about. Um, hmm,
Too much sweets.
definitely too much sweets. Way too much sweets. Yeah, every year from New Year's Day to my birthday, February 23rd, I don't drink alcohol. And at this point, I don't drink alcohol like much anyways. I'm like,
Mhm.
that'd probably be too easy. Let's see if I could give up sweets, like late night snacks.
Yeah.
Sweets. I don't think I could do it. I honestly don't think
Do you know
I'd
what's
have
funny
12
is
bucks.
I always thought that like, oh, people with sweet tooths is like kind of a myth. I thought that for a while. And like over the last couple of years, I'm like, man, this is a real fucking thing. Like every night, even when I'm full, I'm just like, "Ah, I could really use like a little piece of candy." And like I end up like going to like I know there's nothing in my fridge or nothing in like my pantry. And sometimes I just get up and I'm like, I was like, maybe there's something I forgot about, you know? And it's like I really thought for a long time, I'm just like, no, people just make that shit. That's just something adults say, but like it's not a real thing. It's a real thing, man. It's a real thing that I was not prepared for, and now it's just a part of my life that I want sweets even when I'm full.
I love it. And I want to bring this up right now because I don't want to forget.
Mhm.
On the last like mediocre life update, I had asked like, do you want I gave you a choice of which update to give you, but I did want to tell you, and apologies if I already said this because this happens a lot where I think I say something I don't say it, or I want to
So
say something and I don't say it. Um, you know how when you were a kid, I don't know if you remember this, Will, you had a toothbrush. His name was Brushy Brushy.
yeah, of course I do.
Okay, of course you remember Brushy.
Your friend Brushy Brushy, I keep your teeth shiny and bright. Please brush with me every day, morning, noon, and night.
Okay. Brushy Brushy's been discontinued. He doesn't exist anymore. You can get him on eBay, but like they don't.
To be clear, the one at my house is the only one I've ever seen in person. I thought it was this thing. My mom was a dental hygienist, so I assumed it was like now that I'm older, I'm like, it must have been like a like a dental salesperson came by and was like, yeah, here's a couple free samples, and never actually took off or something.
Right. It's tough to find. But James did not like getting his teeth brushed.
Mhm.
And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna bring back Brushy Brushy. So every time I brush James's teeth now, I sing him the Brushy Brushy song, and he loves it. And now he allows me to
Yes.
brush his teeth. So Brushy Brushy, the legacy of Brushy Brushy lives on, man.
That's awesome. And now when Mariana starts getting teeth, that's I clearly have to at least try this with her to see if we can keep this on. So that one day when Mariana and James have a podcast and they're like, yo, so I don't know if you're if Uncle Will or Uncle Greg ever did this, but they ever sing this weird song to you? Brushy, you know about Brushy Brushy? And that's gonna
Right.
be a genius moment when
I
they
really hope
realize
they
how
do.
dumb we are.
Should we sell all of our assets and try and bring back Brushy Brushy and manufacture it again?
Can we become now that you're a sales guy as well, should we just become national brushy salesmen, and we'll just go from dental office to dental office with our prototype until we make it big, or we end up on Shark Tank, maybe get a couple of sales, end up on Shark Tank, like Cubes get involved with us, be like, Cubes, come on, man, we'll host a podcast, we'll talk about brushing teeth, we've got the clientele. No, but
Sounds pretty good, man. Sounds pretty good. But I just want to share that with you because I thought you'd enjoy it.
well, that's awesome, man. That makes me really happy to hear that legacy will continue to live on. As we sign off here, Greg, any holiday thoughts? And this will probably be just for the folks at home. This will definitely be our last podcast before Christmas, potentially our last podcast of the year, just with some travel. So we'll have to see how that works out. But anything here, Greg, as we sign off for the holidays, that you either want to share or want to say to our audience.
Thanks again for all the support that you guys continue to show us year after year. Shout out to our guy, Adam Taylor, former host of the podcast, who's moved on to other things in his life, now writing for Nessing. Gave us a shout on one of his last articles. Shout out to you, my guy, Adam. I hope your family's doing well. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy holidays, and we appreciate everybody.
Yeah, and if you don't hear from us, go enjoy that time with your family. It's really funny. Like, my family's here now, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna go do a podcast now." And they're like, borderline. Some are excited, some are confused, and it's just a really fun energy to be able when I walk out and they're like, "You have a Santa Claus hat on?" Like, yeah, I didn't tell you guys I was wearing this, but I've been sitting in my brother-in-law's room for the last hour just spewing nonsense, wearing a Santa hat for whatever reason. So if that's not what the holidays is all about, what is it, guys? What is it really all about? So if you don't hear from us, again, to reiterate what Greg said, appreciate everybody that's tuned in, that subscribes, that comments. Even if you don't like our shit and you comment, that still actually means a lot to us. So please keep doing it. It helps the algorithm. And so we want you guys to continue to interact with us, and we want to keep being able to produce this content. And it's really special that anybody, even if it's one or two people, give a shit about what we have to say. Makes us feel great, and it makes us want everybody that we interact with, online, wherever it might be, to have a great holiday season. Enjoy the time with your family. And we will definitely be checking back in with you guys, and hopefully we'll keep this magical feeling going, baby. Something special's in the air, and we're going to keep riding it out until it doesn't feel special anymore. So have a Merry Christmas, have a happy holidays, all of the above. Enjoy it with your friends and family. That's going to do it for this episode of Green with Envy. We will catch you guys later. Peace.